Let's face it, if you're a man, then you are probably dealing with problems and challenges with women. Now, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. Your success with women literally boils down to one thing. The bad news is, if you don't have it, nothing else will work. All of the money, good looks, and all of the best pickup and game skills out there will fail without you mastering this one thing. And that one thing is frame. The answers to ending your pain and suffering and to start living an amazing life with women is just one click away. Click the link and let's get started. Are you tired of your face being weak and beta and everyone always wanting to punch it? Well, there's not much I can do about that, but maybe Chad's face scrub can help. It has been crafted for men with all natural ingredients and without the nasty testosterone disrupting chemicals that will eventually turn you into a little man girl. So, whether you need to take a punch or steal someone's girlfriend, or just stay fresh as you go through the rigors of daily life as a man, Chad's is your brand. Order from my link in the video description to help support the channel. All right, we are here. What's up, everybody? It's been a couple weeks since I've been able to do a live stream for you guys. I was out training some military dudes how to shoot a bunch of guns. That's what I've been doing for weeks and weeks. And of course, now I'm back and here at your service. Couple little things. So the Frame and Seduction Mastermind group is actually closed, even though I did the ad for it. I just hadn't split the Chad's face scrub ad yet from it. But right now it's closed for enrollment, but get on the email list. Link is in the description if you want first crack at when I reopen it. Okay, so it's going to be pretty soon as far as reopening enrollment for it'll be new rates and all that kind of stuff, but did really well. Guys got, we're working towards our success, and it's a pretty good group. I'm very happy with how things have been going. Yeah, and then we're also, besides the big group, which right now is, I get to get reorganized from getting back and make sure that I can see what kind of a workload I can take, because I am doing individual work with everybody via Zoom call and some one-on-one sessions for some of the guys. It's a workload thing, so I have to actually see how many I can accept in the group. Right now, I need to, work through the first that wave that we got over the last few weeks. So unfortunately, yeah, Mastermind's closed right now, but get on the email list so you can be notified when it'll be reopened, and we'll go from there. There's other links and stuff in the description. I'll put an announcement too real quick, although I don't have anything in the description of the video yet because I got to square some things away with it. But my plan is July 15th to drop a smaller course instead of a year-long program. We're going to do a course called Pickup Skills for the Busy Man. So Pickup Skills for the Busy Man will be a course that will involve, us doing Zoom calls and some one-on-one coaching and a set of course material, but it's smaller. It's not like a year program. It'll be more start to finish, something you can complete in about a month or two, and that'll help you guys who are trying to pick the ladies up, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is picking up the girls and using some of the dating apps. All right. Now, of course, you guys are just logging on. If you got any questions, throw it in a super sticker, one of those little things so I can see it, and it helps the algorithms. Any donations are great. I always appreciate it, but it's not about me trying to take your money. It's really just about trying to push the channel out. I noticed that I'm doing a lot of things to increase my friendliness to the algorithms. I could do more. I'll be working on more stuff. But the reality is the nature of what I talk about is not popular with a person of my demographic which is a, white heterosexual male, okay, for the algorithms. All right. There's a lot of stereotyping that happens with somebody of my demographic, starting with me just being male, okay, and then talking about some of the issues we were talking about. And sometimes we're not real friendly to feminist ideology, things like that. And that doesn't work well with YouTube algorithms. So my information and content does not reach the search engines as well as other people's stuff, which is why it's, I got you guys watching, which is good, but it's still a bit of a smaller channel. I think we're putting out life-saving information. It's just talking about dating apps today isn't super life-saving, but there's a lot of other stuff that has been life-changing for a lot of people that we've done here. And I think that more people should have access to that. So I'm looking at opening up another channel, and I'll let you guys know about that. But in the meantime, share my stuff, and I do appreciate it. And do what you can to help my algorithms. All right, so let's talk about online stuff, right? So are dating apps worth your time? What do you guys think? Say something in the comments. All right. Are you on dating apps now? Is it worth it? Are you getting the results that you would want? All right. These are all questions. Okay. So let's see if I can share my screen here. What's this? Slides. I'll share my screen though. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Just show you a little quick thing that I find funny. Okay. All right. So let's look at this. I want to show you guys something, make a little point. This is on my Twitter account. By the way, Bad Paul's on Twitter. All right. If you want to see me saying funny things that I shouldn't say, definitely go to Twitter. Okay. And be whatever, a follower or something. I hate social media, but if you're going to be on it, hey, might as well laugh at the crap that I post and say. So anyway, you come across shit like this, right? Well, already swore, so bad for the algorithms already. Who cares? All right. So this guy, all right, blue check mark guy. Don't know who he is. It's not the Stephen King author that I enjoy. It's some dude. I don't know who he is, but he's blue check mark guy. He's really important. He writes, I spent Juneteenth all day in the hot sun hoeing and pulling weeds and thinking about what it would have been like to have been a slave. At the end of the day, I thought about what it would be like to be an aborted baby. I got to see the sunrise and sunset. Oh, it's very poetic, isn't it? And then this Kelly person comes on and says, no one is an aborted baby. No one. That's me emphasizing. An aborted baby does not have a soul. It is just matter. A bunch of matter. No spirit. The soul enters at the moment of birth. First breath. That's when it becomes a human being. Sunrise, sunset. Okay. Well, that was fun. Oh, stop sharing there. All right. Oh, it's not. Oh, do I got to go back now? As you guys know, I haven't changed. I don't know how to work anything. There we go. Okay. So we got internet guy number one, who's real important guy because he's blue check mark guy, so he must be important. He's saying he wants us to believe that he was gardening all day from sunrise to sunset. I don't know how you become a blue check mark gardening all day, but that's what he did on his Juneteenth celebration. Is it a celebration? I think that's weird. Okay. So he gardened all day. Half the day he imagined being a slave. And then the other half the day he imagined being an aborted baby gardening until the sunset. Okay. And then to act as a rebuttal to this tweet, Kelly person, smart person makes the very sound and astute argument that An aborted baby can't actually garden. Not because it's an aborted baby and it's not alive once you take it out of the womb, but because it doesn't have a soul. And that's the argument. So guy number one in his internet world wants you to believe he gardens all day, imagining himself as an aborted baby slave. And then girl number one to reply wants to rebut that and say that is impossible. You can't garden as an aborted baby because babies don't have souls. And that sums up the internet, ladies and gentlemen. The internet is not real, okay? It's not real. And the things that go on in there are whatever people imagine. And that is leading into the point here of online dating. Now, I'm not about to make the case never to do online dating. I teach guys how to do that successfully, but those are for the guys that seems to be a good fit and that's the way they want to go. We're going to discuss if that is even the way that you would want to go. All right. And see if the juice is even worth your squeeze. But when you're on internet stuff, platforms, people are presenting, you can look at my funny thumbnail. I just found it on a Google search, right? Me on Tinder versus me in real life. And it's like just the right angle makes the chick look good. And then the next angle, it's like, I am actually really not that attractive, right? A lot bigger looking in the real life than on the photos. Guys show up to dates. When real life collides with fantasy life, the girl that he's been sexting, he finds out is should be making animal sounds versus people sounds when he sits down with her. Not trying to fat shame, but hey, man, like if you present yourself on the internet as, hot girl, and then the guy shows up and not hot girl, well, you kind of deserve a little bit of shaming there, in my opinion. Okay. So my point is, again, the internet is not real. All right. The internet's not real. Okay. It's real for internet. And it's not actual real life. It's not human to human interaction. Okay. And people create whatever fantasy BS they want on the internet. And this is also true with grifters and people that want to sell you crap. Okay. This is true with online experts. And hey, you know what? You could lump me in the category or something like that, but I'm very straightforward about what I do and who I am, And so it's, and I know, but I am using the internet to prove my point because that's where it's at. If I'm going to prove that something is crazy, I'm going to look at what's crazy. Thanks, Will. But, and that's the thing. Okay. So, I mean, it's like people are, and this is why people have these toxic discussions, arguments, things like that. And you need to distance yourself from that stuff. The internet can be obviously very useful. I'm not like anti-technology or anything. I'm not anti anything like that because you can't change it. We just have to deal with it, right? It's here. Being wanting to hit the rewind button as a lot of traditional conservative types and, a lot of like the men's right guys, they want to hit that rewind button and take things back to a time that probably didn't exist. Right. And have things just be different. Well, that's not existing in reality either. So we got to deal with the reality that we are in. And the reality that we are in is that women are on the internet, right? Just like you are. And they're on social media and sometimes they're on dating apps. And so that is something that we need to face. Okay. But we need to deal with it from a standpoint of objective reality and not get lost in the fantasy that internet stuff can become, which is where we can get very skewed for how we look at online dating and how we look at dating. So a lot of guys who sort of are very frustrated with the dating market and they go into the black pill ideology. And if you're not 6 feet tall, then you might as well just never touch a woman and go kill yourself and stuff. Excuse me. Hopefully I won't get banned for that now too, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like that kind of stuff is like, let's look at that. That's not real. And they're pulling data and stats that are based on internet dating and internet information, which I'm going to demonstrate to you isn't necessarily real life. Okay. It's not accurate. Watching, I mean, my good friends over at Fresh and Fit, I don't, again, nothing against them. As far as I know, we're cool. Right. I haven't talked to those, Myron in a while, but hey, nothing. They got a great platform as far as views and watches. People look at them. But I mean, if you think that a bunch of, ratchet girls who are trying to promote their OnlyFans while they've been tipsy out in Miami, drinking, a few White Claws deep and then getting thrown out the show or acting like, what they are, which is ratchet ass girls. If you think that's a demonstration of what women are like out there and the larger data set of pool of women, you're caught up in internet fantasy. All right. You're caught up in entertainment fantasy. That would be like thinking that the Jerry Springer show is a demonstration of what most people are like or how most people's lives and relationships go. It's just not true, right? Now, I'm not saying there's no value to their show. All right, that's not what I'm saying. But it is a very, very small subset of women that are being presented there. Their opinions are basically useless to you unless you are in a habit of dating OnlyFans girls out in Miami, right? Who, and usually sex workers or maybe bartenders or industry girls that make, some money off of OnlyFans and promote their stuff. If that's not your pool of who you're dating and who you're bringing into relationships, most of that a lot of that information will not apply to you. Okay. A lot of the demonstrations of how they think, how women think from that is not going to be correct. Again, not slamming on the show. All right. It's entertaining, but you just have to know what you're looking at. All right. If you're out in South Dakota or let's say, Colorado and whatever, or even New York City or something. Right. And, you have a pretty normal social circle. You go to, you work or you build your business. You got friends. You meet at local taverns. You meet at, city events, maybe your chamber of commerce. I don't know. Who knows, right? Yeah, that's a different pool. Okay. A different social circle full of girls there. Female nature is female nature, but how it gets applied and how it shows up can be vastly different. Okay, depending on where you're at, who you're dealing with. All right. So let's look at some data. Now I see some questions here, but I like I mentioned before, I'll say it again, throw it in something so it'll stick out. Otherwise, I have a bunch of talking points and I may not get to your question. So if you're not throwing it in like some sort of super chat or something that will help my algorithms, I will review all the comments at the end and try to answer them, but I may not see you. And that's not going to be my fault. It's going to be yours. All right. So how many women do you think are on apps? How many women do you think are on apps right now? Go ahead in the comments. Maybe throw a number out there. Let's see if anybody does that. 10%, 50%, 100%. How many, women that are, above the age of 18, let's say below the age of 50, right? Looking to date. Well, no one's throwing any numbers up. You guys are no fun. No one wants to get called out for being wrong. 30%. Thank you. We got a 30%. This brave soul said 30%. It's a brave soul. A lot. Because Lizzie Sugar does not like numbers. And I appreciate that. 90%. 90%. All right. Well, thank you. 120%. Dead women are on there. That's probably true. That's probably true, like with all the bots and fake accounts. Yeah, it's probably over 100% if every girl was on there. That's pretty funny. Okay, so the real number. Now, understand first before I even give that number. When we look at studies and research, you have to understand that they're looking at test samples, and different test samples can sometimes get you very, very different results. So we're going to look at trends and not take any of the numbers I throw out today as gospel or fact, because most of the studies that are done are smaller with smaller test samples. And so they're not giving the most accurate picture. I got to look at a series of studies to try to get a picture, which is, painful and difficult. Now, not only that, the test samples are skewed. So anyone who's ever taken graduate level statistics courses will understand this, all right? How you can skew your data very easily. So when you get data that's put out by like eHarmony, okay, or something, eHarmony has a vested interest to get you on their platforms to make money off of you. So they want to present that more people are on platforms, meeting people and having wonderful relationships than there actually are. The more people that they can present that are online, hooking up and meeting people, the better. And that goes not just for eHarmony, but Tinder and any of the other apps. So they have a vested interest in skewing the data. So when they do their data set and their data pools, they pool people that are on apps to ask them questions like, how many of you are actively on the app? Well, then they get a high number, of course, I mean, that would be, of course, right? I mean, it's like, obviously. That doesn't mean, though, that there's not a complete other data set pool of women that are attractive and not on the apps, right? They're not pulling that stuff. So I mean, the data is very skewed. If you see that it's put out by one of the companies that, makes money off of you getting on there to hook up with women, or some sort of social media site or whatever, you can't take that data very seriously, because they're going to skew the data. They're going to skew the pool that they're pulling through. They're doing online surveys. Well, who's going to get the online survey from eHarmony or wherever, right? The people that are on the damn site. So you see what I'm saying? So already we can just play with data and mess with your mind. Now I'm seeing high numbers. Some of them are people joking around, but some of them people are probably serious. I'm seeing high numbers here that are listed. This is great. No, I'm saying it's great because it's about to prove a point that's going to blow your mind out your skull, which is when I went and started looking for how many women are actually currently on apps. That was at the time they did the study. I got a range from different studies using different data pools, 3% to 7%. Okay. So let me say that again. How many women are on the apps right now? When you log into Tinder or whatever or Hinge or whatever your app of choice is right now, how many women that are dateable, single, available, how many are on that app, signed up, have an active account? 3% to 7%. What the F? Exactly. You've been lied to this whole time. Okay. They want you to think that all of the women are on Tinder banging all the chads. Okay. There's a fair portion of women doing that, but it's not all of them. And I'll explain why it seems like it's so high and why they skew those numbers. Okay. But we're going to keep going down the data. All right. Now, when they asked how many women have ever used an app before, that's a different number. How many do you think have used an app before? Do you think that would be more like the 70 or 80% out there, right? Well, it's 20%. Okay, so the numbers I'm getting is 20%. And David here, I noticed, said a good point, which is why would they need to be on them? And that's exactly the point. Women have an easier time hooking up with men, and therefore tend to meet them in social circles or in person in different places, but we'll get to that before they ever feel the need to get on an app. Now, that's not to say that there aren't pretty girls on apps. I was looking to see, I wanted to see if there were, what the percentages, if there was a way to figure that out. And I can't find anything to think that there's a disproportionate amount of attractive or unattractive people on apps that are women. So it seems like the skew, I mean, you can make arguments as to what it might be, but it seems like it's what, your top 10% of women, so out of all the women out there, if in your area 3% are on the app, okay, 10% of the 3% will be tens, right? And nines. Okay. But we can maybe assume that. I don't see anything that show anything different. But there are different reasons women get on apps. We'll get in that in a second. But yeah, it's 3 to 7%. Now, there's a couple reasons why that's skewed. If we correct for age, younger girls tend to be much higher in percentage, whereas older women that are even single and available older women, well, I say older, I mean like not college age, okay, tend to be not on there. But then there's like a resurgence of women getting on apps when they're more or less past the prime, like past the age of 40, they tend to get on there more. So there is it's not a straight line across all age categories. And I'm getting varied data from that. So it's really hard to say what's accurate, but it's not like 30% even, which is the lowest of the numbers that were thrown out there. Because only 20% of them have even gone on an app at any time in their life. So there's having been on an app, okay, before in their whole life. But obviously, if they're hooking up with dudes and dating guys or whatever, and they got their roster of guys, or if they're in a relationship or whatever, well, then they're not actively on the app. You see what I mean? So then they've deleted an account, or they've let their account go dead for a certain period of time, leaving you with only, as far as available women, 3 to 7%. Now, why is it such a big range or standard deviation? Well, it's hard to correct for area. Again, they don't have really good studies for this. They have people with vested interest doing studies. So we're having to sort of pull the information and piece it together and try to look around what their interests are to get the real story, and that's really difficult. If you guys come across even, and send it to me or throw it in the comments section, some good, objective, large pools of data, stuff that's out there, that would be cool. I'll take a look. It may be something I've already seen, but it's not like universities. I mean, Stanford tried to do a study, but even when Stanford did the study, they did a younger demographic, which demonstrated a higher percentage of people on apps or who have done online dating. And now, on far as online dating though, they're not always separating from social media, okay, which Instagram and Facebook Instagram is about the biggest dating app you have out there, versus actually getting on Tinder or Hinge. Much smaller percentages are getting on Tinder or Hinge compared to people who might meet online. They might meet online, but they're meeting through mutual friends or connections through social media, which is almost like social circle, but it's like a digital social circle. That's a bit different than, hey, I'm on Tinder swiping. You see what I'm saying? And so I see a super here. I'm going to take a look. Okay. Hey, GT, I'm going to save that. I'm going to get through my data first, and I'll come back and I'll make sure I get your question, bro. All right. So I still want to get derailed too much. So out of all the women out there, it seems like it's skewed about even, so there's just as many, sevens, 8s, 9s, 10s. The SMV scale is not that important when you're dealing with one person, but when we're trying to have these discussions, we're going to use the scale. Okay. So a chick's a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, let's say 7 and up. Okay. There's, just as many, like the percentage skews are probably the same. And so the difference is, at best in the most hottest area, let's say, with the youngest demographic, at best, you're getting 20% of the women there access, which means 80% are out on the streets somewhere. All right. They're going to your jobs. They're going to work. They're pumping gas at the gas station. They're going to the convenience store, the malls, the grocery stores. They're walking down the streets. They're hanging out at the parks. They're going to the bar, tavern. They're doing nightlife. Okay. And they are not on your dating apps. You'll never see them on to swipe anywhere. Okay. So 80% then that is the most extreme, but chances are it's more than that. Chances are it's over 90% because only 3 to 7% according to a bunch of different things, are actually actively seeking something on the apps at any given time, right? So you are narrowing your access to women extremely, even though you think you're broadening your access. And I'll explain why in a minute when we get to the numbers, why it appears like you're broadening your access when you're really not. Okay. So next thing is, so how many women never. So let's look at the intentions. Why are they getting on the apps, right? You guys are getting on there to get laid. Okay. Okay, some of you are getting on there to get in a nice, healthy relationship and fall in love, and it looks like an eHarmony commercial. I get that, but what's the precursor to that? Getting laid. Okay, let's be real. Let's not, you're not marrying someone or getting in a relationship with somebody unless you want to get laid, unless you want to have sex with them, especially as a guy. Okay, women make that concession a lot. Guys generally don't. So you're wanting to get on there, get laid. You think women are on there for the same reason, but some of you guys are a little bit more aware and understand women know that that's not the case. All right. So, we will address Law's looking for the one. We're all looking for the one, bro. We're all looking for that one. 37% of all right. So we're going to talk about that too. All right. And then yes, that would be what, and you know what? That's not a bad choice, to be honest, but we'll get into that as well. All right. So so let's look at why these girls are even on the app. So how many do you think, you can throw some numbers on because it's a fun game. How many do you think never intended to meet up with anyone on the apps? Like, now we know that their intentions and what actually happens can be very different. We know that a woman might never have an intention, but she gets in a conversation with a guy who knows how to have good conversation skills. Perhaps he's someone who's been watching my channel or listening to my stuff, or, just a guy, a super smooth Chad guy, could engage that girl who has no intentions and get her maybe out or get her to come over. We know that happens, but let's look at just their intentions though, to begin with. All right. How many do you think never intends to meet up with anyone on an app, that they're getting on there, but for reasons that don't involve hooking up or meeting a guy or having a relationship someday even? How many? What percentage do you think are on the apps just to waste your time as a man? Right? You're the guy, you want to hook up or meet somebody cool or have a good time. All right. And they're not on there to meet up with anybody at all. Throw in a number in the chat. Let's see a number here. What do you guys think? How many are there literally to waste your time? That's their objective. What do you think? Is it 10%, probably above 80%, 70% just for attention? I'm gonna 100% are there to waste your time. All right, so I'm gonna 60% with a question mark. These are all very good numbers. I'm gonna click on 70%. You win. Kind of actually is very close. You're the closest. Okay. So we got like all 10% increments, but high enough. So you guys are pretty good on that one. The answer is 74%. All right. According to the data I looked at. All right. So and that was pretty good data pool. It's a few thousand people. Okay. And so 74% was the number of women that are on the apps that are there literally to waste your time. All right. And the breakdown looks like this. So 22% were on there just to hook up. Like they want to meet a guy, they want to bang. All right. That's cool. Not bad. Right. Only 4% were in there for like something more than just a hookup, like a relationship. So you had the 4% specifically on there for a relationship. But at the very least, that hookup relationship implies that you're going to meet up at some point, right? All right. 74% I would categorize as attention. Okay. Then they break that up into two parts. 44% of that, is the confidence boost. So literally they're saying, I want to raise my self-esteem by getting on a dating app, having a bunch of dudes try to, match with me open me, slide, have conversations with dudes and watch dudes just like simp for me or try to pick up on me so I can have the confidence to go out to the bar or go out here or meet up with, I don't know, the guy I'm dating, but I'm not sure if he likes me or not, all those things. I can have the confidence to go meet up and then go get laid with the guy I really want. I'm going to be online and get the attention and get not just the attention, but get the confidence boost. And now I can go out with my newfound confidence thinking I'm a pretty girl because all of these guys are on this app, right? Trying to hit me up. And they're not all Instagram girls. Like I noticed this follow me on Instagram. Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, that's true. And a lot of them are just collecting the likes. So that would be for the attention as well. That would go under the other category. So 44% was confidence boost. So they're literally saying they're going to use you to boost their confidence to nail another dude. That is literally what they're saying. As blatantly as that, you could ask that question in a study. 30% was other. So what would other be? Well, I was just curious and I think it's funny, or I'm just messing around, or it's like they won't specifically say they're there to boost their confidence, but they're there because they're bored. That's one. It was bored. All these things fit in the category of other, but really, what is it though? They're wasting time and they're seeking attention. Okay. So I find they're not if they have no intention of meeting up with you, then whatever that other reason may be, okay, is a waste of your time and a seeking of attention in some way. If they're after the confidence boost, and maybe for the Instagram girl, that would go under other. She's trying to build her following. She's trying to put, to promote her OnlyFans or promote her page or promote something. There's those too, right? Some women, I guess, probably in that category are actually hooking. What I'm saying? They're doing sex for money. That might go in the other category. So I mean, I guess they would meet up with you, but it's going to cost you something. All right. But that's a percentage. I can't get a percentage on that though from any sort of study of how, that's a little bit harder to come by. I wouldn't assume it's high though. But I would assume it's significant. But at any rate, what it boils down to is 74% of these girls you guys are matching with on online stuff, having these conversations with, when they ghost you, when they disappear, and you guys are going, man, I was just texting her and dude, what did I say wrong and whatever. This is why I say most of the time has nothing to do with you. It's not to say your text game doesn't matter. For the girls that are part of the 26% there that would actually meet up with you, your text game absolutely does matter. But for the 74% that have no intention of ever meeting up with you, you might have a one-off that didn't have the intention but thinks you're really cool and does. Okay, but that's a one-off. Like most of these girls are going to waste your time. And so you need to be able to recognize your time wasters so you don't just waste time on the app. But see, here's the other part of it. The apps want you to waste time on them. All right. They don't make money by you being matched up with your perfect match and, or hooking up with a couple girls and then being happy with that and having, consistent girlfriend or any of that kind of stuff. They don't do well with that because then you don't need to be on there. They do well with dudes who are swiping and getting shot down and getting ghosted. Okay. So they're not, the algorithms and the things that are there are not designed. They're designed to keep you on the app. Now, some of you guys will just, if you're not doing well, will go away and not pay for that app or be on that app. And they understand that. So that they'll put algorithms in your favor to a degree, but then, they're not interested in you actually being successful. So you have to keep that in mind. All right. So like, this is why it's always good if you are on dating apps to refresh an account. I mean, close it, reopen it every 6 months to a year. Why? It'll go stale and the algorithms will stop helping you. Stuff like that. It's not designed for you to be successful. It's designed for you to keep you on and to keep you failing so you keep coming back. Okay. So that being said, so now let's look back at that 3 to 7%. So 3 to 7% of the girls, right, that are on there. What does that mean then for who's actually going to meet up with you? All right. I mean, maybe, it's about a third, right, of those numbers. So really that 3% is more of a 2%. So 2 to maybe, 4 or 5, 4.5, 5% are actually available women out of all the women. So if you live, let's picture your little town. I'm in the Detroit metro sort of area of Michigan. Okay. That's Detroit plus a bunch of suburbs. So in this, geographic area, I'm going to count on out of available women, 6-7% of the women out there, okay, that are looking to hook up or meet a dude or could meet a dude, only 6 to 7% maybe are on one of these apps, depending on what the most popular one is in my area. Then out of that, 74% of those women are probably going to be time wasters. Maybe we could say 70% was a good ballpark number. Remember, we can't look at, we're not dialed in that well with the way these studies are done, but we do get good generalizations. So that means really I'm only opened up to a dating pool of maybe 2 to 4% of available women. Okay. If I'm on that app, if my app is the only way I'm meeting women, I have closed off over 95% of the women that I could be meeting. All right. Now, not all of those women out of the 95% are women that are dateable or women that I would want to date or something like that. Right. But still, let's say women that you would consider, let's say a 7 to 10, which is good, SMV scale, whatever, 7 to 10 in a good age, your age category, it does narrow it. But even then, the test pool is the same. The age category you're looking, let's say you're looking between the ages of 25 and 35 is about your age category as a guy sitting where you're at. If you're on apps, even, you're looking at 2 to 5%, access to women within that demographic. And then, okay, break it down even further. Girls that are actually dateable, 7 to 10s, and even narrows it even more to smaller numbers. So now you can see why guys spend time in swiping and swiping and swiping and swiping. I feel like a Dora the Explorer cartoon right now. Reference for those of you who've had children and watched Dora the Explorer. Guys are Dora the Explorer on the apps and they're just swiping all over the place and not getting anywhere and having dead conversations. So now you know why. But the internet's not real. Okay, the internet's not real. So what does that mean? All right, that means that you're getting a skewed perception of what your attractiveness is and what women would be interested on you, because you're really only looking at an opinion of a data pool of 2 to 5% of women. And that's an opinion of women where, okay, 3 out of 4 women that you're coming across are interested in wasting your time, not even interested in having any kind of productive conversation with you. So if you are actually doing pretty well on the dating apps, that's a testament to you being high SMV, or at least presenting that on the apps. That's a real pat on your back, dude, because most guys are getting really bad results. But if you're getting really bad results, understand that that's not I'm not to say that you're not doing things wrong or you couldn't do things better, because you 100% could, because you can get good results on apps. That's the other part of it. So there's plenty of people who get good results on apps. You can do it too. But my point is it even worth your time? How about not just talk to girls? Okay. You're probably going to get a better return on your investment just learning how to approach a stranger and engage them in a conversation. Simply cold approaching. Or social circle, meeting somebody through your social circles, through your networks, engaging them in a conversation, making a good, quick, instant connection, then moving that into more meetups and hangouts and connections that end up with you and her in the bedroom, right? Like that's probably the better way. Okay. People use the internet, especially the younger people, because they're bad at communication. I mean, it's true. Younger people, like under 25 years old, not talking about individuals, but as a a test sample of people, right, or as a sample set of people, are not as good at interpersonal communication as people in older demographics. It's not just due to experience, it's due to using the internet as a buffer for having one-on-one connections with others. All right. So building your ability to have a one-on-one connection with somebody, which is where seduction happens, doesn't happen over a screen. Okay. That's the skill set that is going to give you the best bang for your buck return on your investment. Because that not only helps you with the girls, but it helps you with your social circles, your friendships, and your ability to do business. You know, most people are not in a business or an industry, except for you engineers out there, where people can not care or like you socially and still do business with you, right? So most people have to have good interactions with others socially and make good social connections, and these skill sets will help you there too, right? But I digress. Let's kind of keep going. So yeah, we're talking is actually the number. So not even 2 to 5%. It's really like 0.8 to 1.8%. When you break down, when you take out that 74% of people that aren't interested in meeting up, it's somewhere between, let's say 0.8% and just under 2% that are actually DTF or even just DTM, down to meet up with you, right? Now, here's why that can seem pretty skewed though. Okay. So like if you are in New York and you got 2.5 million people out there, right? Well, if you're in New York, you got 2.5 million people, a couple percentages of that could put you in front of 15, 20,000 people on a dating app, right? Or, we could split it up for women, obviously. So, I mean, actually, so you're looking at it, I say 2.5 million women that are dateable. So I looked at numbers. I looked at 2.5 women. Let's look at New York City. You have 2.5 million people in New York City, okay, that are women between ages between ages of 18 and 45. All right, 2.5 million. So if you look at a couple percentages of that, you're looking at anywhere between like 20 to 40,000. So if you get on the right dating apps over in New York, you're gonna have 20 to 40,000 women to choose from. So it does give you the appearance of abundance, and like all the girls are on the apps. Someplace like Miami, it's about half that. So it might have access, let's say, to 20,000 women on the apps over in New York. At Miami, you'll have access to 10,000. 10,000 is a lot of women, right? So you do have access to a lot of women. Okay. So it gives you the appearance. And then, of course, if you add all of the fake accounts, the bots, and the hookers, you have the appearance of an abundance. You have an appearance of a lot of people on the apps, and that's where all the girls go. And if you want to get girls, you got to get online and get on the apps. That's where that impression comes from, because if you're in a highly populated area, you're going to see a lot of traffic on the apps. You're going to see thousands of people coming through that are active on there. Now, some of you guys are sitting back and saying, well, yeah, then why wouldn't I get on the apps then? Well, you can. Like I said, I'm not saying not to. Okay. But is it worth your time? Well, I have access to 10,000 women, let's say, in my highly populated town, because there's, a couple 1.5 million people in this area, right? So 10,000 women, that's a lot of women to have to go through. I'm not going to run out of options there. Yeah, there's an argument to be made there, but how many guys are on the apps though? Right. And that's the question you have to ask yourself. Well, let's first of all break it down too. If it's 10,000, let's say Miami, 10,000 women on the apps. Well, 7 to 10. Okay, so I mean, let's assume that we're skewed regularly, like evenly-ish across the board. That's actually about 3,000 women, because six out of the 10 women you run into are not going to be dateable. You're not going to be interested. So unless you're pretty desperate, maybe, right? So if you want to talk about high quality women, or even attractive women, okay, you're looking about a pool of 3,000. But still, a pool of 3,000 is pretty good. If you told me, hey, you got a pool of 3,000 women to choose from, they have other guys to choose from, go have at it. Okay, I like those odds. I know I'll be fine, right? So it's not in highly populated areas. It can be useful. Even in low population areas, how many girls you really need to find, right? Like you only need to find, cherry pick the ones or twosies or whatever. So it can be a way. So again, I'm not saying like never to do dating apps, but a lot of you guys are only doing dating apps and spending a lot of time on dating apps. And I think that's where you're really wasting your time and your energy, right? Because there's all of these other, there may be 3,000 women that are available, dateable, that you would hook up with in Miami, let's say on your favorite top 3 apps that, but there's tens and 20s of thousands on the street and at the beaches and at the stores. You get what I'm saying? And then we'll get into where if the juice is really worth the squeeze. So we already now have established we have a narrow set of women, but some of you guys will be like, but dude, in a populated area, that's still a lot of women. Okay, I get that. But now let's look at what causes women to match with guys. Well, you guys know the answer to that. What causes a woman to match with a guy? Looks, right? It's the appearance. And when I say looks, it's a combination of good photography and then actually the way they look. Okay. And then the way they present. All right. Because you can look good and present badly. That happens all the time. Either with bad photos or you're just trying too hard and there's too many props and it looks super fake. Okay. So if you come across as authentic or whatever, and you have professionally done photos, which is why anybody worth their grain of salt in the coaching industry for telling people how to hook up on dating apps says to get professional photos. There's a reason for that, and so, yeah, get the photos, all that stuff. Most men don't optimize their profiles. So it's very easy to look like the top 10% of guys, even if you're not actually, because remember, the internet's not real. So you can make yourself, just like she can make herself, look like a much higher in attractiveness woman on an app. And then you meet her and it's not so much, just like in the photo I used for the thumbnail, right? Well, guys, you can do the same thing. And I'm not suggesting you do, though, by the way. I'm actually suggesting you don't do that, but it's something that can be done. I will say this, though. If you're a good-looking guy, let's say whatever good-looking is. Let's say you're 6 or 7, doesn't matter. And you do top-notch photos and you look like an 8, that's fine. You're not going to struggle there. No girl's going to, if you're like a 7, I'm using arbitrary numbers. Okay. We know that, right? But if you're about a 7 in attractiveness scale and you make yourself look like an 8 just by having well done photos, the right angles, the right clothing, the right lighting. Okay. A little bit of, using not Photoshop completely, but some face app to just clean up any blemishes or anything like that. You can look a point higher in SMV. You could actually look 2 or 3 points higher if you went crazy with editing, but I don't recommend that because then you're going to catfish her. She's going to see you and go, dude, I don't know where he got this photo from, or I don't know where he got his photos from, but he doesn't look like his pictures. You don't want that reaction. Okay. But if you present as a 8 and you're really a 7, you're fine. Because they're doing the same thing, okay? If she knows anything, if she's smart, she's doing the same thing as well. She's doing the best. You're showing the best that you're going to show on a photo. And if you're not doing that, you are completely going to fail on dating apps, right? And so, did Rollo talk about this yesterday? I didn't know he talked about this yesterday. That's hilarious. Like I said, I've been out of the loop, man. I don't even know what's been trending lately. Okay. Can I say I'm 3 inches taller? I actually am. Yeah, sure you can. I mean, I wouldn't go 3. You can buy yourself an inch or 2 though. If you're 5'8", you're 5'10" on an app. People have a problem with that. Too bad. I don't care. What because she's lying on the app too, even just based in photography. You know what I'm saying? And then you could wear, let's say, a pair of boots that give you about an inch or so. There's actually, I've talked to some of my friends and people I know in Hollywood. I mean, you guys know that Tom Cruise is 5'7", Brad Pitt's 5'8". Okay. They're not 6 feet tall Chads, dude. The heartthrobs, you got some that are like your Chris Hemsworth of the world are. Okay. But that he's, most of your guys that through history of Hollywood have been the heartthrobs and all that stuff are not tall guys, right? But you know what they do when they hit the red carpet? They wear shoe lifts. Presidents and people who've run for office who are under 6 feet wear lifts in their shoes or higher shoes that make them look taller when they're not. There's a secret for you, Sometimes because I do like to wear boots. Sometimes when I wear my boots, especially because I don't want to get plantar fasciitis ever again. So in some of my shoes, I have a decent like pad on my heel. And then if I have a boot also that I'm wearing, I buy myself about an inch and a half. And I don't care. I'm not ashamed about it. You know what I'm saying? Women wear freaking high heels, dude. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? It's if you're a 5'5" guy, you throw a shoe lift in, you're 5'8". Go ahead and throw it on your profile. Who cares? In person, the chick's like, "How tall are you really?" You're like, "Dude, I'm not 5'8". I'm shorter than that. But it's a dating app, and it just is what it is. People don't always tell what it is there. I promise you this: most girls won't care. Okay, and so yeah, and that's the main thing is you don't let a chick try to oh, you're just that and the other. Let me tell you something about the height thing too. Girls generally just want to feel small. Okay, that could mean tall, that could mean wide, and not preferably not fat or not a shape wide. They just want to be made to feel small. That's sexual dysmorphism. That's the thing there with evolutionary psychology. It's a sexual dysmorphism, right? Is that women are attracted to the larger males, and a taller guy can make them feel small. But a taller guy can also be a complete simp and not make them feel small at all, right? Or at least not mentally, not make them feel make them not want to submit. We'll put it like that. Whereas a shorter guy can execute so much dominance over her that's in a psychological level, she feels small, and then she'll feel happy and she'll feel attracted. Okay, and so I love these. I'm gonna rip on Danita for a minute. Not our rip on your heart though. Should be more about the connection. Danita. I know it should be, right? There's a lot of shoulds out there, but unfortunately, what makes for a connection though? Yeah. So there's attractiveness. There's social connection. There's having commonalities. There's being interested in things that are uncommon. There's all kinds of things that can make a connection happen. So that's I'm investing in a stool. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, that's David's investing in a stool. No, and just wear like do old school pimp stuff, man. Wear some platforms with like fish tanks in them. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of high value men that are shorter, man. And I know guys who are not celebrity status that are 5'5", or 5'4", just slayed women. And they like to get women that were taller than them. Like they had a thing for taller women because it made them feel dominant, that they could dominate a taller woman. Right. And when she's horizontal, you can make her feel small. When you're laying together, you can make her feel small, even if you're shorter. All right. So don't listen to these social connections and these things that are designed to shame you. And plus you can do things. I don't suggest you completely subvert and lie to people out there, but women are ridiculous sometimes with this, and men are too. But I mean, people are ridiculous. Women can be very ridiculous with the standards they put on men that they don't apply to themselves. All right. So women tend to lie to the world with grooming and makeup and all kinds of stuff that they do to make themselves look a certain way, and then they will jump on a dude for wearing eye cream, all right, or wearing boots that give them an inch or so of height. You know what I mean? Like, so fuck off, right? Men, don't even deal with it because it doesn't matter. You do what you want to do to maximize your looks. That makes you feel better, and that makes you present better, right? In a way that you want. You don't need to impress anybody either, though. You don't need to be a try hard Okay, but you do what you want and don't let these women give some weird opinion like you're lying and being dishonest when they're lying and being dishonest every single day when they put on shoes. All right. So like it's not all women, by the way, do that. Some are very self-aware and understand these things, but yeah, dude, you know, so don't care about that stuff. All right, I got way sidetracked. I got a client here in a minute. Yes, that is how I get them. Makes I play WWE music, and I actually just play it on my phone and I slow walk towards them and terrify them. That's how I get the ladies. All right, usual double standard. Yeah, and it's okay that there is that. We understand why that is. We're not going to be mad about it, but just don't fall and be susceptible about it to it. Okay. Okay. So let's look at, and I'm going to have to wrap this up here. Hopefully my next client, I'm going to try to wrap this up in the next 10. Okay. So what causes women to match is looks. All right. So we know for a fact that women are attracted to more than what you look like. Looks are definitely a factor. Okay. Just like something like height's a factor. But if I had a nickel, yeah. Oh, I have lots of secrets, bro. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I got the secret, dude. I have stuff that is like, you got to get in a mastermind group, man. I'm not trying to be like a dick about it. It's just that there's stuff that we do that is not, it requires an amount of learning and practice. So it's something that just isn't going to be working for YouTube, like for me to put it out there, but it's stuff that will take you like to a next level. Some of it can be NLP based. I see that thing. Yeah, there's NLP is a part of it, but it's just like deep persuasion and psychology. And there are things you have to be careful with because you could, persuade somebody in such a way where it could harm them. So that's kind of why too I don't put things I don't share things too much like that on YouTube. There's a little bit of a due diligence there. It's not like I mean, it makes it sound like more cloak and dagger than it should be, and I don't mean to make it sound like that, but there are really things out there that will could cause you to really persuade somebody, and it could cause you to persuade someone to hurt themselves in a way. And some of your con men and cult leaders out there have learned to do that. Yes, I can teach NLP. Can you teach NLP with NLP? That's a weird question. Yes, I mean, kind of, but I mean, using the techniques to teach it. I mean, I guess, but I don't want to get down the rabbit hole too hard. But anyway, yeah, there's stuff out there that will literally, you can kind of more or less hypnotize a girl to kind of, be with you, want to do what you want. But we talk about this in the mastermind group. You always want the person to maintain their free will. You never want to be manipulating or deceiving. All right. And it's hard not to be sometimes because, quite frankly, and this is normal people deceive each other all the time, and they don't necessarily mean to. They're just not self-aware of things. And so they can be very deceptive without necessarily meaning to. That's a topic for another video. We can actually talk about that. People can manipulate each other without meaning to. They could just be protecting themselves from, let's say, harm or being hurt, let's say emotionally or something like that, and then they manipulate the other person. Like, for example, when a woman feels insecure in the relationship and then she degrades her partner. That would be an example. Or a guys do that too, right? And so you never want to take the element of free choice away from someone. And that's the difference between ethical persuasion and non-ethical persuasion. And if I'm going to talk about that in detail and how to do it, that needs to be an understanding of that, because I'm not going to make a bunch of little, psychopaths out there running around and hurting people. Okay. And so, there's a lot of questions on this. You guys, you know what? Maybe we'll open up a Q&A session for that another time. All right. So let's make that my next thing. Okay. I'll work on making that my next live. If you guys are down, we can talk more about it. Okay. Because I want to present it in the most transparent, straightforward way as possible, but without necessarily, giving stuff up that would anybody could come on a YouTube channel and, screw someone over. You know what I mean? Like, that's not good. Right. So, but the thing is to understand Like, deep persuasion is just being skilled at what you're already trying to do. When you're in front of somebody, and let's say you think that this plan of action is the best one, and your partner thinks this plan of action is the best one, it's a little bit different than yours. Well, what happens? You're having a discussion. You're trying to discover which is the best. And in some ways, you're trying to persuade the other person, right? So this just makes you really good at it. That's all. It's like when you meet somebody, you want to present the framework that I'm the attractive person you want to talk to, right? So everybody that does that wants to do that. All right. And so, like, well, you're just really good at it now. But the problem is getting really good at something can make people come across as scary because now they're capable of damage. Let me give you another example. So fighting, right? So like everybody needs to know how to defend themselves, right? But if you have somebody who's extremely skilled, either professional, whether a professional fighter or let's say like a military person who's done missions and like swacked people and knows how to, really do stuff, right? And really knew how to tune up the violence and all that, right? That makes that person dangerous. The only difference between a guy like, let's say when I was doing military stuff and some of my highly trained professionals I've worked with were really good at taking, basically, getting rid of high value targets. And by targets, I mean human beings. Okay, having that skill makes you a dangerous person. And so even like law enforcement and everything else will look at you differently, right? Because you could use that dangerous skill for bad, but you're using it to protect others. So then it's for good, right? So it's kind of like deep persuasion is the same way. You can use it to develop really top-notch connections and good relationships, or you could use it for bad. And sometimes, and I have been guilty, is I've used, because it just becomes a part of how you are. It's not something you're trying to do anymore because you already are trying to persuade people every single day when you interact with them, whether you realize it or not. So you just get more skilled at it and then you're just really good at it. So it becomes who you are, part of who you are. But there's been times with lack of awareness and maybe things or issues I've had or hangups where I've harmed people. Now, not extremely to a point where like a cult leader would, or like some, con man would. I've never like conned anybody or anything like that. But I've, you can cause yourself to, to not be aware of things and act, and basically hurt somebody. You know what I mean? So somebody, I mean, it'd just be like somebody falls in love with you or is crazy about you, but you're not really crazy about them. And you sort of let that happen, right? Well, that's an example of, you hurting somebody and being a little bit more persuasive than you wanted to be. And so that's why, by the way, the mindset course is a foundational program for people who want to do anything, this kind of work with me, because you will get very, very skilled at certain things that if you're not okay up here, you really could hurt yourself or you could hurt other people. And it's not something you want to do. You would do it unintentionally. So at any rate, that's not true. It actually helps people who weren't alpha before become alpha and then have actually meaningful relationships. In fact, it helps alphas to maybe sometimes tone that shit down. So anyways, we got to close off here. I got more points to make. So what causes women to go for you? Looks, right? They can't, that is the main thing. So what this causes is a very skewed thing. So any type of matches or likes or whatever, or connections that women make, that they've done a few studies, but the one data points I'm looking at here, the top 1% of men got 16.4% of the swipes, likes, interests from women. Okay. The top 5%, meaning that would include the 1% too, got 41% of the interest from women. The top 10% got 58% of the interest from women. Okay. And then they stopped it at 10%. So already about 60% of women are going for 10% of the dudes. And they're not clicking or matching on the other guys. Okay. So on this very narrow thing, if you're not optimizing your profile and if you don't beat out all the other guys just by appearance alone, by optimizing your profile, you are, you're losing access to 60%. Now, if they ran it to 20%, they would get most. It would be over 90%. Because what they figured when they with the data is they did the bottom 50% only gets 4.3% of the interests from women on dating apps. So if you're average and below, you get almost zero interest. And I'm sure the interest you're getting isn't from the hot girls. Okay. If you're a guy who by looks, you're a 7, and then you don't optimize your profile, so you look like a 5 because you just have shitty photographs, you are getting no interest, zero. I think Danita is a woman and watching me, which is great. Glad to have you here. She's saying, wow, if that's because women have a hard time understanding this because women get lots of clicks on dating apps. And most women do not understand the lack of interest that most men get. And I've explained this to women that I know in my life before. It's like, you notice the guys that girls are banging or girls are with, or that might be attractive. Like, just think going into a bar or something, or a restaurant, you would notice guys with girls. If you could pick a couple out, in a crowd or something in a lineup later, there's a whole pool of like 70 to 80% of guys though that were in that place that you will never remember. Okay. And that's about what the dating market is for guys right now, is that, at least the top half are unmemorable, undateable, it completely ignored. And I know a lot of guys who are watching me right now are part of that pool. And I'm not trying to black pill you here and say, just give up. No, it's not really that at all. But guys that are not good with social skills tend to get on dating apps to try to get success. And the apps are designed like a casino to keep you rolling that dice and to keep you thinking you're getting somewhere. And it's illusion of action, and you're not getting anywhere. Okay. And you're not going to get anywhere if you're the bottom 50%. You might as well not do that. And I would argue, if you cannot optimize your profile to be in that top at least 20%, preferably really the top 10%, there is no reason for you to be on an app. You need to spend your time out in the public, meeting people like a human being, and get off of the fake ass internet where shit isn't real and go meet real people. I know guys who, by all standards, are unattractive looks wise. They do the best they can, but they're not that attractive, but they learn the skills to make an immediate connection with somebody, open them up, and all of a sudden the ball starts rolling and they find themselves in some sort of sexual relationship with people, and they're not even that attractive. And you see it all the time. I know you guys have seen hot girls with guys who you're like, what's she doing with that guy? Right. And he may not even have a bunch of game either, or a bunch of money. It's not even all that stuff. It's just about, you have a much larger variety of women and attractive women with a lot of different personality traits and differences out in the real world than what you do in the small subset of women on the internet. Now, there's a larger subset of women on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. But even then, it's not even up to 50%. Okay. And so, yes, you have to get out and meet people. If you're not a Calvin Klein model lookalike or looking like a hot dude, that guy, the guy is 1%. He just literally picks from a pool of 16% of women that are clicking on his stuff, and he's too super abundant. And what's funny is these guys will then get on the internet and try to give you advice on how to get women and tell you how, their methods work. It's like, no, bro, your method is that you hit the genetic lottery. Okay. For a lot of you guys who have not hit the genetic lottery, it's better for content creators and grifters to sell you on the idea that you're unattractive and that you can't have success because of it. Because you're not 1% of men, you now can't have success. That's the message they're sending you based on numbers from a small subset. And it's absolute bullshit, because I got people in my mastermind group that are having various different levels of success, all better than when they started, at all different levels of sexual market value and all different ages. All right. And each person has to do something slightly different than the next person in order to make things happen. All right. So finding your personal way and method, and that, and by learning the skill sets to do so, that's what will do it for you. Most common places people meet, and then I'll wrap with that. There's a bunch of percentages all over, but it's basically social circle. From there, there's a high percentage of cold meetups too. Social circle and cold meetups supersede online all the time, every time. Okay. So for the general public. So are you wasting your time on your dating apps? I will let you make that decision. I will say this. If you are not optimized in that profile and don't have the top notch pictures, if you go, and how you can tell is create an alternative account as like a female and see what guys are in your area. Not that you're going to date them, okay? Or even, but just see their photos, see what your competition is, and then have an honest assessment. If you can't optimize your profile to be at least in the top 20% of what's out there based, and make it look that way, don't even bother with the apps. You're going to waste your time. And I would argue for most guys, it's just a waste of time anyways, because the guys who are really good looking can literally just go out in the street with some skill and be very successful. So street game and in-person game, whether it's night, street, whatever terms you want to put on it, but in-person human to human connection is always king, always 100%. Okay. I'm not saying that guys aren't successful on apps. I've helped guys be successful on apps. I've helped guys do well on apps, but you're working against a lot of odds. That's the thing. And so you have to understand that. And I understood that to some degrees for some people, but really I'm looking at these numbers and I can really see how solidly true that is, that you're just going to do better person to person. And this is, there are few exceptions, and I'm not saying don't do apps, and I'm not saying don't do social media, but I'm just telling you that this is the thing. And I have to close with that because I'm way late for my client. Okay. And where do you go to meet a decent person was this question. I got another super chat I'll answer, and then that'll be it. Where do you go to meet a decent person? Well, anywhere. Where do you go? Now, if you stay in your house, you need to change your patterns, find ways to go places, and find ways to engage with other people. Okay. And if you're a woman, you're going to places and you're making yourself as attractive and positively noticeable as possible, so men will approach you. Now, there's a shortage of men doing approaches because men today are thinking that everyone's on the internet. And so I've even watched and have seen younger people, they'll meet a hot girl in person, not have much exchange or engagement, look them up or stalk them on social media. Then they friend request or follow. And then they like a bunch of their stuff. And then they comment a bunch of their stuff. And then they drop in their DMs. And then maybe the chick responds. And then maybe it's incredibly cowardly and time consuming and unattractive. And it really puts a lot of power in the hands of women, but not in a positive way that's even helping them. Right. So you want to take the power back as a man. That's one thing a lot of you guys seem concerned about. You want to have your power as a man back. Don't play that game. Just approach hot women and talk to them. All right. And if you need to learn how to do that, I'm here. So July 15th, I'm going to open up enrollment. And I know this is not all a big grift for this course, but just happens to fit today. I'm opening up enrollment July 15 for pickup skills for the busy man. So it's not for the pickup artist or the douchebag or the guy who's just blah, whatever. It's for the guy who wants to be successful with women, but who's chasing excellence in life and has other goals. Okay. You don't have time to cold approach, 1,000 women at a mall to see, to get a couple phone numbers. But I can teach you how to optimize your social circle and your cold meetups and approaches to get women very interested very quickly, and then to move that into, you know, sexual relationships. And so keep an eye out. I'll have more advertisements for that. That'll be July 15th. Get on my email list if you're not on it. There's good stuff that goes out. I never send spam, and you'll get the early announcement for enrollment for that. And there's only going to be open and closed enrollment, and I'm only taking a certain number of people. So you do want to get on that list and be able to early enroll. Okay. So get on the email list. Link is in the description. Let's go through one more question. What if after meeting for a date, she asks you to change the location? What if she slightly changes your plan B also? Well, listen, man, you're in charge, but that doesn't mean that you have to stomp up and down and cry and say, I'm the boss. All right. I'm not saying you would do that, but guys seem to fail to understand what the difference is between being a leader and trying to be the boss and trying to, convince everyone I'm in charge. Everyone's made this mistake. I think there's leading means, okay, that's a very general question. So you're on it. You said after meeting for a date. So you're hanging out with her and she says, why don't we go someplace else? Well, what's place? Sounds like a plan to me. I don't know why I wouldn't say if it's a place, unless it's someplace I don't want to go. Now, if it slightly changes your plan B, I don't know what plan B is other than the pill you take out if you forget to, if you forget to protect yourself from pregnancy, right? Like, so I don't know what you mean by changing the plan B, but like, you're like, I want to do this. She's like, oh, I think we should do this. Now, if she just shit testing and being domineering and trying to take control and trying to take the lead, you know what I mean? You can, and it's not exactly where you want to go or what you want to do. Well, then the answer is no, right? I mean, you just kind of laugh and just say, I got other plans for us. And that's it. You have other plans. You're taking her on the date and you execute that other plan. It's super simple. Don't need to make it an argument. Don't need to make it complicated. If you have plans, hey, I got other plans, or I got some plans for us first. Or, well, I really want to do this or take you here or something. All right, maybe next time. All right. I got something for us. You'll like it. You'll like it, and then you just take the lead. It's simple. Now, that doesn't mean that her input's not useful or important. It should be. You know what I mean? Being a leader doesn't mean not getting input from the people you're leading. That would be a terrible leader. So if she's like, this place is so crowded, I got this other place that's really cool, and I know I can get us in. Let's say she says that. Oh, yeah? Oh, hell yeah. Let's go there then. That's what I'm saying, because it's my decision. So it's just like military leadership. If I'm in charge of a platoon or a squad or a team, let's say you're a team leader, right? In charge of a small group of guys. And those guys say, hey, we're going to go do this. And one of the guys says, hey, Sergeant, I think there's something I want to bring to your attention. Maybe we do this instead or whatever. If their shit makes sense, it would be bad leadership for me not to listen to that. It would be bad leadership for me not to, allow for some level of input from my soldiers. Now, I don't want to get into the weeds as to when you don't do that, when you do that. Okay. But that's the point. Right. And so when you're leading, just lead. You don't need to be the boss. You don't need to try to assert your dominance like a 2-year-old. Not saying you would do that, but a lot of guys do. Just lead. That's it. She has an idea, something different in mind. Hear her out. If you like it, go with it. It's your decision. And that's what makes you the leader. Doesn't put her in charge. And that's a way she can qualify to you and demonstrate that she's valuable to you. Take input from your chick, take input from girls you're going on dates with. All right. That's it, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you jam that like and share button. Get on the email list because we got some good stuff coming out down the pipe. If you guys want to learn how to do some skills that are going to change your whole life and how you approach things. Stay tuned for mastermind stuff when I reopen, but particularly pick up skills for the busy man enrollment opening on the 15th, early enrollment for email list people a few days before. All right. Thank you. Take care.